Riders and fans, in this episode, we're going to talk about Jett's competitive advantage and what he does, his subtle nuances that lead to incredible speed, along with some of the track changes from the feedback of the riders that could make Supercross more exciting. Watch Jett Lawrence as he accelerates through the whoops, missing the second obstacle with his rear wheel, so that he's wheel tapping and that front wheel ends up landing on the third one, and he's able to accelerate through the whoops with phenomenal speed and then use the last few to transition his feet, use them as braking bumps as he gets his foot to slightly slow the motorcycle down and then get off of it just as quickly so that he can make the inside with a small little brake slide, instantly get off the brakes, get on the gas, and he is out of there, which is so difficult because most of the riders going through the whoops, they have such a straight line speed that it's hard to slow down and make that inside, and they end up drifting wide. Here, as we watch Cooper Webb go through the whoops, as he hits every single whoop with his front wheel, and he ends up accelerating and getting on the brakes late, where we see him transition his feet once he's out of the whoop section, where Jett was doing it 2-3 whoops from the end. He slows down in a straight line and he drifts wide, leaving that inside open. And the only other riders that were able to make the inside were riders that ended up sneaking to the inside. Shimoda does a wonderful job of coasting in, but he goes double, then triple, then double, and he's able to make the inside. I even asked some of the riders on the podium what could be changed, and this is the answer I received.
I mean, yeah, I was definitely making time, but these flat corners after the whoops they're not, like, it's not good for blitzing, really. Like, it didn't matter how fast I hit those, like, there was no pass going to happen because he was jumping and just going to the inside. The dirt was definitely different than the last few rounds. Like, it held up really well. Yeah, I mean, I wish we had more, tracks like this that have whoops where you can blitz the whole time, because I feel like that would have been my strong point this year. And also, it's like you got a 90 before set of whoops, which made it kind of, I wouldn't say easier, but you had to have that drive to get the kind of into them and stay on top of them, where you're losing a little bit of time going inside. So yeah, I just stuck to blitzing all day.
Part of the reason as to why Jett is so incredibly fast is just it's the subtle things that he does. Here, I'm using Lit Pro's vision program to prove to you. Here's Jason Lawrence on the bottom, and here is Jett on the top. They're going to do the same line where they're going to step on, step off, and then double into the corner. Yet Jason Anderson is almost a 10th slower in over a 20-lap, 25-lap main event. That's 2.5 seconds where Jett is making time just through one section of the track. How is he doing it? Well, first off, we'll notice that as he steps on to the tabletop, he's actually scrubbing, throwing the bike sideways, getting way back, where Jason Anderson is just briefly soaking it up with his legs. And Jason is leaning way back, and his front wheel is a little bit higher than Jett's to accelerate off. And on the next double, you have Jett Lawrence jumping in, keeping his speed up, where Jason is downsizing perfectly. This is a program that you can use on your weekend warrior day-to-day training routine, whether or not you're doing off-road racing or if you are trying to go fast. It doesn't matter if you're a beginner, a novice, an amateur, a professional. This is something that you should use. It is a program by Lit Pro. I've got a coupon code in the description, litprolive.com/hopper, and you will get a free month for using that code. We didn't see many different lines for Denver, but Levi Kitchen impresses the hell out of me. In this section on the backside of the track after the finish line, usually riders were just jumping on, off, then doubling, singling into the corner, where Levi was stepping over and tripling, then singling into the corners. Just something different that he's just doing different than the other riders. That is part of the reason why I still believe he is going to win the championship. And if I move back to just the Lit Pro just a little bit, when I was there at press day, there is a part of the track where the start after the first corner, and here it is. Right after the first corner, there's this step on, step off. And what actually was the fastest, and this was during press because they had everything cut off, you couldn't use the entire track. So these riders were practicing going from just the first corner. And if we watch Malcolm Stewart on the bottom versus Hunter Lawrence on the top, you can just see how much faster tripling stepping over is rather than the racing line, because you had this big straightaway for all of the riders. And Malcolm is quite a bit faster at the beginning, and he loses all of his advantage as he is up in the air. It's just very interesting that the fast line was actually the step over and triple, but it was the harder line to accomplish, and so nobody did it during the race. And partially, I believe part of this is you have this giant gap here for the start stretch that they have to leave over, and they have to because that's how riders get around the track. But furthermore, you have one tabletop to another tabletop, and after the triple, there is a third tabletop, and then on the other section, there is a fourth tabletop, meaning that this track had a tabletop almost on every single section, which hopefully we can see less of that in the future, and we can have a little bit more racing action moving forward. Let me know in the comments below. And as always, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification icon if I have added any value to you whatsoever. My goal is to get to 60,000 by the end of Supercross. Thank you. Ba-ra-da-da-da.